So that was Alfie by The Living End, and if that's the first time you've heard The Living End, I encourage you to go check out that back catalogue because they've got some really awesome stuff. And if you know who The Living End are, then you don't need to be told to go check their stuff out. But when I heard this track, I was like, wow, this sounds like it could have been a B-side on the Modern Artillery album, which I think they released 21 years ago now, like 2004, 2003. Yeah, I'm old. And when I heard it, I was like, it's the quintessential Chris Chaney tone. Now, he usually plays through like Wizard Modern classic amps and matchless amps. I saw him playing Vox AC30. So his tone comes from his playing, obviously, and his guitar. He has his Gretsch that he plays with. Now, I didn't obviously have a guitar that was hollow body, but I did have a guitar with single coils, and that is kind of the key to the sound. If you don't have a hollow body, just get a guitar with single coils, and it'll actually get you a very similar tone, which is what I did here. Fortunately, my guitar pickups are the Vintera 50 single coil pickup, so they're kind of vintage voiced, which lends himself perfect to the Living End sound. Now, Chris Chaney's sound doesn't really change. He's got his core tone that he plays with, like to the point where you can pick it out if you know the music of the Living End and Chris Chaney's playing. Like, he's just got such a distinctive sound. It's not super gained, especially like in stuff like this. Sometimes you might put some more overdrive in there, but for the most part, it's not a super aggressive sound. It's very, very moderately gained. So that's the approach that we took here. Anyway, let's go over the signal chain to show you what I did. I put in a utility simple gate with a threshold of 64.9. That's just kind of what sounded good. My single coils aren't that noisy, but there was a little bit of noise I needed to clean up, so that helped. For the sound, I noticed I needed a compressor, so I put in a fairly low threshold, a ratio of 3, low attack, low release, 3.5 decibel makeup, and mix 100. That kind of got me in the vicinity, but of course your pickups may be different and guitar and whatnot playing styles, so you might have to mess around with this. I did add in a tube screamer. You can see just a tiny little bit of overdrive. We kind of rely on the amp for the overdrive, to be honest with you. So that's kind of what we went for there. You could actually take this out and still kind of get a very comparable sound, but I needed just a tiny little bit of bite in there just to make it a little bit dirty, but not overly distorted. The tone, I just pushed that up to 6.2 as well. And the level, once again, it's not metal, so we don't push that too high. We're not trying to distort the amp. Just kind of makes things a little bit louder and bring it up. So 6.5 gives a slight boost. I went for the matchless D30 channel 2, which obviously has a bit more of the grit in there. I pulled the volume back to 3.5. I initially had this at like 6, but I just found there was just a little bit too much grunt in there with my guitar. You may find your guitar's different. I pushed the tone up to 6.8. I pulled the cut back just a little bit, and I pushed the master up to 7.5 just to kind of get the character of the amp out. And then in my case, my pickups are super quiet, so I had to push the output up, mostly just for mix-related reasons, so I could hear myself playing over the song. We've got a cabinet here. I did play with the positions a little bit, so a little bit of air, put the distance 0.5 on this, distance 0.8 on the right mic. Position on the left mic, I pulled it back to 3.8 just to pull it out. Pull it in, sorry, and the right ribbon 160, I put the position to 4.2. Once again, just to differ the microphones and get different characters in there. I did a high pass of 100, a low pass of 8,500. That's just the trick I do to clean up the IRs on these cabinets. I've got a graphic EQ here, a parametric 8, high pass at 90, then I'm doing a cut at 450 of 1.8, and then I've got a boost at 3,200 of 1.5, kind of gives the top end a little bit more bite. And then lastly, I've got a low pass at 7,800 just to kind of clean off the top end and remove any kind of aggressive frequencies. Because it is a very like a vintagey type sound, moderate slapback delay here, 28% on the mix. You can see I didn't really go too crazy on the settings. The delay time of 115, just so it's very subtle, but it's definitely in there. And I guess it also kind of replicates that hollow body effect as well, where things resonate inside. And then lastly, I've got a spring reverb because once again, it's a very vintagey sounding tone, so didn't go too crazy on that. The spring reverb on the Quad Cortex is not that good, but if you're copying these settings onto a different device, you may have better luck with a better spring reverb, but that's really all I did. And this tone will actually extend across a lot of Living End songs, not just this one in particular, because like I said, if you're not familiar with their music, his tone is very much the same. It rarely ever changes, which is good because we can create a general purpose preset like this and then share it on the cloud in the settings for you. So yeah, I didn't do, I cut the song down as well. Usually I would do the full cover, but it is a bit of a repetitive song, and I know a lot of people aren't going to sit through a whole repetitive song in that way, especially if you're not familiar with the band. So I kind of cut it down. I also butchered the solo a little bit, but I learnt this song by ear in about 10 minutes. So it was really about just kind of capturing the essence of that tone, and I think we got there. So let me know in the comments what you think. And as always, if you have a suggestion for a song or artist or whatever you want to see me tackle next, let me know in the comments because I do take requests. And if you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.